Hello everyone, welcome to our lecture in strategic management. So let's first introduce what strategic management is. Okay, but first off, all right, let me share with you some notable quotes. So according to Abraham Lincoln, if we know where we are and something about how we got there, we might see where we are trending and if the outcomes which lie naturally in our course are unacceptable to make timely change. Okay. According to Ross and Kami, without a strategy, an organization is like a ship without a rudder, going around in circles. It's like a tramp, it has no place to go. And according to David Hurst, the formulation of strategy can develop competitive advantage only to the extent that the process can give meaning to workers in the trenches. So these notable quotes that I shared with you is actually in relation to strategic management, because if there is no strategy in a business, as mentioned by Ross and Cami, it's like a ship down. It's just going around circles. There is no objective or a means to accomplish that objective to be successful. So that's how important strategy is. According naman to David Hurst, if there is no strategy, okay, there would be no competitive advantage for the business. But, okay, before we go there, I would like to share with you McDonald's. I'm sure you're very familiar with McDonald's. So, why is McDonald's number one, still number one in the world? Maybe not in the Philippines because it's so well that Jollibee is number one in the Philippines, but McDonald's is actually number one around the world. So why is McDonald's doing great in a weak economy? So there was actually a recession in the US in 2007, but in 2008, when companies were actually struggling, McDonald's increased its revenues from $22.7 billion in 2007 to 23.5 billion in 2008. So why is that? Okay, despite of the recession. So basically, McDonald's added outlets, about 650. All right, even though other restaurants struggled. Okay, so McDonald's even lowered their prices and they even expanded their menu. So what is the reason why they're still doing great? So according to James Skinner, the CEO of McDonald's, that time says, we do well because our strategies have been so well planned out. So it simply shows that McDonald's had a very, very good strategy. So they planned all of their strategies, and when there was a recession in the US, their company was not affected. All right, so McDonald's top management team says everything the firm does is for the long term. So McDonald's for several years referred to their strategic plan, as a plan to me. So the strategy has been to increase sales at existing locations. So what did they do? They improved the menu, they remodeled their dining rooms. What else? They extended hours. They even added snacks. The company has avoided deep price cuts on its menus. So McDonald's was the only one of the three large US firms that saw its stock price rise in 2008. So it only shows how important strategic management or strategic planning is. Okay, so first, so what is strategic management? So as you can see here, the definition says that it's the art and science of formulating, implementing, and evaluating cross-functional decisions that enable an organization to achieve its objectives. So as you can see, the definition implies that strategic management, okay, focuses basically on integrating management. There is management here, marketing, finance, accounting, what else? Production, operations, including research and formulation, or research and development rather, and information system to achieve organizational success. So sometimes it says here the term strategic management is used to refer to strategy formulation, implementation, and evaluation. So the strategic management, okay, in this text is used with the term strategic planning. So strategic planning is often used in the business, whereas when we speak of your strategic management, it's definitely used for academia. Okay, let's continue. So the purpose of strategic management is basically, it says here, to exploit and create new different opportunities for tomorrow. So it's also a long-range planning, in contrast to optimize for tomorrow the trends of today. So a strategic plan is, of course, in essence, a company's game plan. Just like basketball team, they need to have a good game plan for them to succeed. Okay, so a company must also have a good strategic plan to compete, okay, successfully in this, what will we say, competitive business environment. So a strategic plan is basically the result, okay, from tough managerial choices among the numerous good alternatives, and signals commitment to specific markets, okay, policies, procedures, and operation in lieu of other less desirable course of plan. All right, so let's continue. So the strategic management process is basically, let's talk about your strategic management process. So it is basically a sequential set of analysis and choices that can increase the likelihood that an organization will choose good strategy, okay, that of course generate competitive advantage. So we will talk about what competitive advantage is later on. So the strategic management process basically has or consists of 3 stages. We have your strategy formulation, strategy implementation, and finally your strategy evaluation. First, let's talk about strategy formulation. So strategy formulation basically includes developing vision and mission. Okay, there. So when we speak of your strategic vision, it talks about the future path of the business. Okay, where are we going, or where is the business going? A mission, on the other hand, of course, focuses on current business activities, who we are, what we do. So that is the question or questions that would be answered by the mission. So there you go. In strategy formulation, you also identify external opportunities and threats. You also determine your internal strengths and weaknesses. We call it your environmental scanning. So when you say environmental scanning, you look at the threats or possible threats of the business, but you have to determine also your opportunities. What else? Your strengths. What are the strengths of the business? It could be excellent customer service. That could be a strength. What could be the weaknesses of the business? Maybe poor management. That could be a weakness. Okay. So you also establish long-term objectives. You generate alternative strategies. And of course, you now choose a particular strategy to pursue. Right. So strategy formulation also include deciding what business to enter, what business to abandon, okay, how to allocate resources. So for example, if you are in restaurant company, so if a certain menu is not uh, favored or it's not preferred by your customers, why do you keep on cooking it, diba? So how to allocate resources, whether to expand operations or diversify, whether to enter international markets, okay, whether to merge or to form a joint venture. And of course, this is very, very important. You have to avoid, okay, hostile takeover. Right, there you go. So the second strategy, or the second process rather, of strategic management is now, okay, strategy implementation. So when we talk of strategy implementation, it requires that a firm has to establish, okay, annual objectives. They have to devise policies. What else? Motivate employees and allocate resources that formulated strategies can be executed. So strategy implementation basically includes developing a strategy supportive culture. Okay, you create an effective organizational structure. What else? You redirect marketing efforts. Of course, you have to prepare your budgets as well. You develop and utilize information system, and you link, okay, employees compensation to organizational performance. Okay, so that is in your strategy, okay, implementation. In addition to that, when we speak of your strategy implementation, this is also called the action stage. Okay, so successful strategy implementation hinges upon, okay, managers' ability to motivate employees. Why? Because employees are the ones, okay, who will be uh, doing the job in fulfilling the plan in the business, diba? They are the employees, they are the workers. So they are the frontliners. So it is more than, or more an art than science. So strategy formulated but not implemented serve no useful purpose. So implementing strategy means you mobilize your employees and of course your managers to put forward your formulated strategies into action. So it's often considered to be the most difficult stage in strategic management. Okay, why? Because it requires personal discipline, commitment, and of course sacrifice. All right, there. So basically, interpersonal skills are especially critical for the success of the business or the success of the strategy implementation. Okay, why? Because strategy implementation activities affect all employees and managers in an organization. Okay, all right, let's continue. Next is, of course, your strategy evaluation. So this is basically the final stage in strategic management. So all strategies are, of course, subject to future modification. Why? Because external and internal factors are actually constantly changing. So in business, there will always be changes, okay? That's why in business you need to keep on updating, okay, your management or your strategies, because external, when you speak of your external factors, it could include your competitors, okay, your customers, the things that you cannot control, okay, are changing. Internal factors are also changing. Why? Because of the effect, perhaps, of your external factors. Okay. All right. So there are three fundamental strategy evaluation activities. It includes the following. Okay, reviewing external and internal factors that are the basis of or for current strategies. So you have to review external and internal factors. What else? You measure the performance also of your employees, perhaps the performance of the business overall, and you take corrective actions. So strategy evaluation is needed because success today is no guarantee for success tomorrow, which is true. Because to survive, all organizations must identify and, of course, identify the changes and adopt to those changes. Okay, so success always creates new and different problems. Complacent organizations experience, okay, demise. Okay, so according to Waterman, in today's business environment, more than in any preceding era, the only constant is change. So change is always constant. Therefore, successful organizations should effectively manage change. Okay, continuously adopting their bureaucracy, strategies, systems, products, and cultures to survive the shock and prosper from the forces that decimate the competition. So they have to continually adapt to changes. Okay, the need to adapt to change could lead to the success of the organization. Okay. All right, now let's talk about some of the key terminologies in strategic management. So number one, we have here your competitive advantage. So what is competitive advantage? When we speak of your competitive advantage, we're talking about anything that a firm does, okay, especially well compared to rival firms. Like, for example, why is it that, or let's say, yeah, McDonald's is still number one in the world despite of other competitors? Or why is it that Jollibee is doing very, very well in the Philippines, okay, despite of its rival, McDonald's? So there is a competitive advantage. Perhaps for Jollibee, it's number one in the Philippines because they know, okay, the tastes and preference of Filipino people. Diba? So when a firm can do something that rival firms cannot do, or own something that rival firms desire, that can represent a competitive advantage. So for example here, in a global economic recession, simply having an ample cash on the firm's balance sheet can provide a major competitive advantage. Some cash rather, rich firms are buying distressed rivals, so they take over. There might be a hostile takeover of other firms. Why? Because they have the cash, they have the money. Okay, so BHP Billiton, as you can see here, is the world's largest miner, is seeking to buy rival firms in Australia and South America. They wanted to take it over. Why? They have the money. They are the world's largest firm in terms of mining. Freeport, yeah, McMoran Copper and Gold Company also desires to expand its portfolio by acquiring distressed rival firms. French drug companies, Sanofi, okay, Aventis, okay, is also trying to acquire distressed rival firm to boost its drug development and diversification. And you are very familiar with this company, of course, Johnson and Johnson's, or Johnson and Johnson in the United States. They also tried to acquire a distressed rival firm. So they have, or this means of business acquiring a distressed firm or rival firm can be an excellent strategy in a global economic recession. So it could be an excellent strategy because, of course, if there is a recession, businesses might go bankrupt, diba? But because they have the money, they can do it. They can do so. All right, let's continue. So a firm, says here, must strive to achieve a sustained competitive advantage. How do they do that? They have to continually adapt to changes in external trends and events and internal capabilities, competencies, and resources, and effectively formulate, implement, and evaluate strategies that capitalize upon these factors. What factors are we talking about? Okay, the internal capabilities, competencies, and resources. So normally a firm can sustain a competitive advantage for a certain period of time due to rival firms imitating and undermining that advantage. However, okay, in business, you have to obtain sustainable competitive advantage. So it's very important that you sustain your competitive advantage. Okay. All right, now let's continue. So another key term in strategic management is strategist. So strategists are individuals who are most responsible for the success or failure of an organization. So strategists have various job titles such as Chief Executive Officer, CEO, President, Owner, okay, what else? Chair of the Board, Executive Director, Chancellor, okay, for schools, could be the Dean, okay, or an entrepreneur. All right, there you go. So strategies can basically help an organization gather, analyze, and organize information. So they basically track the industry and competitive trends, and then they develop forecasting models and scenario analyses. Okay, so these are the jobs of your strategists. All right, another key term or terms in strategic management would be your vision and mission statements. So when we speak of your vision statement, okay, it answers the question, what do we want to become? So developing a vision statement is often considered the first step in strategic planning, preceding even the development of a mission statement. So we're talking about the future. What do the company envision to become in the future? What do they want to become? Okay. So for example, here, the vision statement of Stokes Eye Clinic in Florence, South Carolina, or Carolina, is our vision is to take care of your vision. Yan. So here is another example, okay, of vision statement of McDonald's and Jollibee. So for McDonald's to be the world's best quick service restaurant. Okay, being the best means providing outstanding quality service, cleanliness, and value so that we make every customer in every restaurant smile. For Jollibee, okay, their vision is to be the best tasting QSR. What is QSR? Quick Service Restaurant. Or to be the most endearing brand that has ever been. O, di ba? Futuristic siya. So there you go. All right. Mission statements, on the other hand, are enduring statements of purpose that distinguish one business from other similar firms. So it addresses the basic question that faces all strategies. So what is our business? Okay, what is our business? A clear mission statement describes the values and priorities of the organization. So basically, a mission statement identifies the scope of a firm's operation in product and, of course, in market terms. So developing a mission statement compels strategists to think about the nature and scope of present operation and to assess the potential attractiveness of future market and activities. Okay, so a mission statement is a constant reminder to employees of why the organization exists. Okay, and what the founders envisioned when they put their fame and fortune at risk to, okay, breathe life into their dreams. Oh, diba? Okay. All right. So other key, so before we go there, here are some mission statements of Google, Coca-Cola, GE, Virgin, okay, I don't know how to pronounce it properly, Warby Parker, Southwest. So Google's mission is to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. So that is what they want to do now. Or to refresh, for Coca-Cola, to refresh the world, to inspire moments of optimism and happiness, to create value, okay, and make a difference. So these are some examples of your mission statements. All right. Okay, so other example here of your Jollibee and KFC. Yan. Okay, there you go. All right, let's continue. So other key terms in strategic management would be your external opportunities and threats. So external in business, external factors are the things that the business cannot control because it's outside the business. So external opportunities and external threats refer to economic, social, cultural, demographic, environmental, political, legal, governmental, technological, and competitive trends and events that could significantly benefit. So that is opportunity. Okay, opportunities if it could benefit the firm or harm an organization. If it harms the organization, then that is definitely a threat. An example for that would be the existence of competitors. It could be a threat. Okay, so opportunities and threats are largely beyond the control of single organization. Thus, the word external. So in a global economic recession, few opportunities and threats that face many firms are the following. So it could be availability of capital that can no longer be taken for granted. What else? Consumers or customers expect green operations and products. Meaning to say, like for example, some customers or consumers nowadays would prefer a company that would offer organic products or maybe offer something that is healthier or environmental friendly products. Okay, marketing has moving rapidly to the internet, diba? So it could be a threat for other companies, but it could be opportunity for other companies, right? So there you go. All right, what else? Yan. Too much debt can crush even the best firms. If you have a lot of utang, of course, it could crush your firm. What else? Layoffs are rampant among many firms as revenues and profits fall and credit sources dry up. Okay, there is reduced capital spending in response to reduced consumer spending. So if there is reduced consumer spending, of course, it would affect the business. All right. Okay, now let's talk about your internal strengths and weaknesses. So within the company ito, internal strengths and weaknesses are an organization's controllable, okay, because within the company, controllable activities that are performed especially well or poorly. So they arise in the management, marketing, finance, okay, accounting, production operations, research and development, and management information systems activities of a business. Identifying and evaluating organizational strengths and weaknesses, okay, in the functional areas of a business is an essential strategic management, okay, activity. So organizations strive to pursue strategies that capitalize on internal strengths and try now to eliminate internal weaknesses. What could be an example of internal strength? It could be, as I mentioned earlier, excellent customer service, okay, done by the employees. So what could be a weakness? It could be poor management or mismanagement of the business. Diba? So they have to capitalize on their internal strengths and try now to eliminate or maybe eliminate internal weaknesses. So let's continue. Strengths and weaknesses are basically determined relative to competitors. So relative deficiency or superiority is important information. Strengths and weaknesses can be determined by elements of being rather than performance. So for example, a strength may involve ownership of or natural resources or maybe a historic reputation for quality. Diba? Strengths and weaknesses may be determined relative to a firm's own objectives. So for example, high levels of inventory turnover may not be a strength to a firm that seeks to never stock out. Yan. Okay. So other key terms in strategic management would include your long-term objectives. Okay, so objectives can be defined as specific result that an organization seeks to achieve in pursuing its basic mission. So long-term means it's more than a year. It's more than a year. So objectives are essential for organizational success because they state direction, aid in evaluation, create synergy, reveal priorities, focus coordination, and provide a basis for effective planning, organizing, motivating, and of course, controlling activities. So objectives should be challenging. It should be measurable, consistent, what else? Reasonable, and it has to be clear. All right, so in a multi-dimensional firm, objectives should be established for the overall company and of course for each division. And that is your objective. Okay, another term or key term in strategic management would be strategies. So strategies are the means by which long-term objectives will be achieved. So strategies are potential actions that require top management decisions and large amounts of firms' resources. Okay, there you go. What else? We also have here your annual objectives. So if we have long term, we also have your annual objectives. So short-term siya. Short-term milestones that organizations must achieve, okay, to reach the long-term objectives. So like long-term objectives, annual objectives, okay, should be measurable, quantitative, challenging, realistic, consistent, and it should be prioritized. Okay, there you go. So we'll end our introduction of strategic management here. Thank you very much for joining me for this lecture.